Greetings and welcome to Posturing for Health. There are many ways to deal with low back injuries. Some of them are more effective than others. At Posturing for Health, we teach people what they can do on their own to correct or at least manage stress-induced injuries. What better way to do that than to give a real-life personal account of what that looks like? Not long ago, Gina injured herself simply by moving the wrong way. Sound familiar? What she shares is how she applied what she teaches to others to heal herself.
I was lying on my back. I was trying to roll over. I was trying to pull the sheet out from under my hindquarters, and that movement just, I could feel it, something snap, grab, pop, whatever it was, and I knew that, I wasn't going to be able to move for a little while. It's about 1:30 in the morning, so I still had to get through the night, trying not to move, really afraid to turn over. So I was very anxious about getting up and having to get to the bathroom and going through all of that. I found that I could roll over if I did it very, very slowly and then settled on my side, and then I could go back to sleep. But it was not a good night. It was very painful. It was painful to walk. I couldn't get comfortable sitting or standing. I had to move very slowly. Bending over it all, just even actually the action of just putting my head down was extremely painful, all the way down into the base of my spine. This is what I had already started doing with my class the previous Friday. I started introducing it because I could feel like my own back was stiffening up. Like this had been kind of, like we always talk about this, oh, I just did this one little thing and out of the blue this thing happened, but that's usually never the case. It's a culmination of forces, perfect storm kind of thing, and I could feel it happening for like the month leading up to it. So it did not surprise me. It was just the wrong movement. So I had already started investigating this routine that Dr. Gong suggests, and went at it more in earnest and more specifically that Friday. I mean, it was amazing. I felt better within a week than I had felt in months. I guess in terms of understanding more of what these movements are meant to do, as well as understanding a little more about refining the alignment when you're standing in a position, how to correct your posture in such a way that you're stretching the right things, or nuances of a posture that he doesn't really go into. For example, if you're standing this way, we have a tendency to want to throw our rib cage forward so we can get our arms higher. And that's the sort of thing you don't want to do if you're trying to work on your back, because you're creating more shearing compression in the spine. So just little tidbits like that of how to stand more in alignment when you're doing the exercises. Loosening up the musculature of the torso, and then very gently stretching, and then doing strengthening. Is some of it. It's a pretty long routine. The loosening would involve, obviously, always being relaxed. That's a very key point of Qi Gong, is always making sure your body's relaxed. We're bringing the arms up, and then just a very slow, relaxed twisting of the torso a few times.
Were you doing it that fast?
Probably a little slower. Then a more So a vertical rotation, also probably a little bit slower, and then loosening up the hips.
And they were the 3 exercises you were doing?
No, this is just the beginning, and like I said, it's a very long routine. That was the beginning of it. And then another piece of it involves, now we're bringing the stretching into it. So it's a little bit more challenging when you do this. It doesn't look like much, but when you have a back injury, it's pretty intense. And then side-to-side stretching. And then really loosening up. But the meat of it was, I mean, those are both just preliminary exercises. Like the meat of actually where you start to really pull the musculature into it, and it's you're isolating different segments of the spine, and you're kind of undulating.
Almost like a belly dance.
It's almost, that's what everybody says, yep. So there's, the vertical aspect, and so you start with the lower part of the belly, and then you kind of work up and you bring the diaphragm into it, and then you bring the upper body into it, and then you bring the arms into it. But it's these kind of movements that really start to reach into the actual vertebrae and the ligaments that attach them, and start to bring them back online and condition them to give strength and stability. They're real, genuinely core exercises, I think. It was within a week. I mean, I was feeling... There are certain, like when you have an issue, and people who have had long-term issues know this, you learn to live with it, right? And you might find that that when you turn your body a certain way, you're going to feel that twinge, and you just know, yeah, I expect that that's going to be there. If you sit for a long time, you expect that when you get up, you're going to feel it stiff for a little bit until you work it out. I was doing that. I was doing it purposely to try to find those points that I knew would always hurt, and a lot of them were gone. And like I said, that hasn't been the case for months, maybe even a couple of years in some cases. So I was finding a whole host of things, just whether it was chiropractic or whether it was the exercises, I don't know, but in a very short period of time I was feeling very good. And and then the real test for me too is after working, because I'm on the floor a lot, bent over people, how do I feel when I get up? And the recovery, the bounce back was very quick. As long as I was doing these exercises every day. That is the challenge. I mean, the only way to convince them is for them to actually try it. The beauty is, while it might take 3 to 6 months to get rehabilitation or healing, it only takes a few times of doing it to actually feel some benefit. It's just getting them to do it. But having said that, I mean, the challenge too is to say that, okay, so even if you get this down and you're willing to do it every day and stick with it, because that's a challenge for everybody anyway. It's not just about the exercises, but once you gain that little bit of ground, you got to keep using it. So it's not just do your exercises and go back to what you were doing. It's use your exercises and now go for a walk. Do the exercises and move your body even when you're sitting in the car. That's an even bigger thing, which is so easy to do because you don't have to set aside time to do something different, but you have to remember to move your body in different ways now that you've got that little bit of pain relief. But exercises, why we do them is not to fix the problem, it's to prepare you to be able to regain your mobility. That's what fixes the problem.
The fact is, there are many approaches to back pain that aren't often discussed, or that people just don't take seriously. At Posturing for Health, we believe movement is the key. Knowing how to move properly is the easiest and most cost-effective way to prevent an injury. If you would like more information about Posturing for Health, you can visit our website, posturingforhealth.com. You can also sign up for our free newsletter and receive our ebook, Stress Relief Anywhere, at no charge. And for those of you dealing with aches, pains, moans, groans, lumps and bumps, we believe in situation desperate, not hopeless.